Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. You've probably heard that there was a meteor shower last weekend. I've put my camera in my backyard and pointed it at the sky and let it take 15 seconds of exposures on ISO 3200. So this was a Canon 80D camera with a Samyang 14mm f2.8 lens. I think I shot 1180 or something pictures, and I manually went through them and found a few of them with meteors. In this video I want to show how I combined all these images into one image. So you get to see one starry night with the 15 or so meteors that I saw in this session in one image. And I think I found a little nice trick in Photoshop that makes this process a bit easier as the way I was doing it in previous years. So perhaps you can benefit from this as well. And by the way, if you know of an even more easy solution, then please let me know in the comments below. And if you know of a tool that can just automatically scan all the images and tell me which ones contain meteors, that would be even more awesome. So hit me up in the comments and I'll be very happy. Let's roll that intro and then get cracking with the Photoshop on my laptop. So here we see all the images that I shot, as well as some star trail images, which I will show in a bit. So, oh, it's 1181 images. Okay. So I went over them one by one like this, just looking at those images to see if I can find a streak on them. And there's one, but this is obviously an airplane. How do I know? Well, if you zoom in on it, then you can see it is multiple lines, as well as it is apparently a blinking light. Well, if it blinks, it's an airplane. Sometimes you see streaks in the image that look like a meteor. Let me see if I can find one. Ah, here is one, for instance. You might say, where, Martin, show me. Well, if I zoom in 100% and I look at the bottom right, the bottom top, the top right of the image, then you'll see a streak over here. This could potentially be a meteor, but if I go to the next image, it was over here somewhere. Now it's not visible. If I go back, there it is again, see? If I go one more back, then I see that there is a line here as well. So what this is a satellite. A satellite that is moving through the field of view. So as I said, 15 seconds of exposure. So this satellite moved this way in 15 seconds. And that's why it is this streak. A meteor is much quicker, so you will definitely not see a meteor on an image of 15 seconds and also on the next image of 15 seconds or the previous one. So that is how I know that this is a satellite instead of a meteor. I found a lot of them and I stored it into a text file with the number of the file name in it. So 1550 was the first one. Let me see, 5050, here it is. So this is definitely a meteor. You can also recognize it by its distinct colors. It's going from green to a little bit yellow, and then it ends in pinkish red kind of colors. And depending on the materials that are ionizing in the air, these colors can change. So the colors in fact hold some scientific value to what this meteor was made of. At least that is how I understand it. By the way, in this image you can also see a faint smudge over here, which is the Andromeda galaxy, so another galaxy far, far away, 2.5 million light years, I believe. But if you wait a billion years, it will be very close because it is hurtling towards us. But that might be some story for a whole different video. This video I want to show you how I got from these single images, so this is that entire image, and get to something like this. So here we see all the meteors that I saw that night combined into one. So let's jump into Photoshop and then I will show you what I did. By the way, let me help myself by not making this a full screen thing, and then I can slide this to the side and go back to scripts, load files into stack, because now I can load all those files. So 1550 was the first one. Let me just do a few so I can show the effect instead of doing them all. I think if you saw me edit 3 into 1, you would probably know how to do the rest of them as well. So 3 files. I just click OK. Do not check those check boxes because it will not help me, because I imaged these pictures with a fixed tripod. There was no tracking involved whatsoever. So automatically aligning it will probably fail because of the wide field lens that I used and the change of geometry of the image throughout the night. Difficult explanation. Perhaps somebody knows of a great tool that that can do this for free, I hope, because yeah, that would be nice. Okay, let's get back to the task ahead of us. So 3 images, let's click OK. The images will be loaded into a stack as I set Photoshop to do so. So we have 3 layers if it is done. Let's use the one on the bottom as the main image. I first at least want to know or want to emphasize the meteors as well. So what I like to do now is make a little adjustment layer just above the top layer, and this will allow me, if I go into the curves selection, to make the background a little bit darker, and I can up the highlights a bit. This will, to my eyes at least, make a little bit more of a natural look. By the way, this was shot on a night with a full moon. So we have an adjustment layer, the sky is a bit darker, stars and the meteors are a little bit lighter, so this is nice. And this applies to all 3 of those images now, because we used an adjustment layer. Let's get to the first image. I will just select the top layer and I will use the lasso tool, and I'm just going to lasso around the meteor. So in this case I'm going to do a lasso around it. I'll do right click, layer via cut or copy, doesn't matter which one you use, because we're going to get rid of the original layer. So what we now have is, yeah, the meteor in the new image. The only thing we have left to do now is to align this back to the correct orientation. And to help us do that, I like to set the blending mode of this new layer to multiply, and this allows me to see a bit of the stars right through the bottom image, as you can see. So this will help me align the two images. So I see that I need to shove them around a bit, and it's only about the spot where the meteor itself is. So it's a bit of fiddling around, but this looks good enough to me. I can apply these changes, and now I use the eraser tool, and I use a brush with no hardness at all, so I can just remove the part of the sky that does not contain the meteor. So that's good enough. And if I now turn off the multiply and set it to normal again, it looks normal, as the name implies. So now I have these two meteors in one image. And you will probably guess what I'm going to do with the next one. So this meteor is this one over here. Probably not a Perseid meteor, if I pronounce that correctly. But we'll see. You do not have to be any accurate at all. So now we have that meteor there, and we can reposition it again so it matches the underlying star field. So to help out with that, we go into multiply again. We use the move tool, and I can just move it or nudge it around a bit so it aligns. And this I have to do with all the detections that I saw in the image, and then we're done. So let's remove the excess sky again, put it to normal, and there we have it. We have 3 meteors in one image. And I said that this probably is not a Perseid meteor because it is not coming from the correct direction. The Perseid meteors are called like this because they are seemingly originating from a point in the sky which is around here. And this constellation of the stars that you see in the bottom right here is the constellation of Perseids, which is why these shooting stars are called the Perseid meteor shower. There's not another tool that is very nice to use. You can use stacking tools and use a maximum stacking algorithm to combine all images into one, which will eventually show the meteors, but it will also show the rotation of the Earth. And I will make a new video about that in more detail with some time lapses and stuff, but this is an image that I created of all those 1180. Well, it's not the full 1180 because the last 50 images or something were already starting to get into daylight, but all the images with stars in it were combined into this nice star trails image, which will show that the Earth is indeed spinning and that Polaris, the North Star, is almost not moving. It is close to that rotation point in the sky. And one of those meteors actually went right through Polaris. So if I bring up that other image again, that shows all detections in one, then you can also see Polaris here, and it was actually the brightest meteor of them all, and it went right through Polaris over here. So this is the result. I will end this clip with a nice little time lapse of all the images, and hopefully you get some benefit out of this video. Hopefully it will allow you to also process a similar image of the meteors that you saw from your location. And yeah, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you have tips for me, cool techniques that will allow me to get this result even more easy, because I'm all for lazy and easy things, then please let me know in the comments. Feel free to share this video around if you think that these tips are very helpful, and if not, please let me know as well in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Meteor storm last weekend. The Perseids, those words. Perseids.